Right, what have we got here then?
Oh, this is vegetable tagine. It's spicy tomato sauce, carrots, parsnips, onions, garlic, a few chickpeas, some celery, some broad beans. Spicy tomato sauce with raisins and apricots and couscous.
Wow. Really nice. I love the crunchiness as well.
Yeah.
It's not soggy.
And the fruitiness.
Yeah, the fruitiness definitely. Yeah. It tastes so fresh as well. Like it's just freshly made. Yeah.
We're good at what we do.
Hi guys, so we're joined today by Sharon Goodyer. She is a local resident in Thanet in East Kent. We're going to talk about her journey into starting her own business, facing Parkinson's and founding a community food kitchen called Our Kitchen. Sharon previously worked as a head teacher and had to leave this post in 2000 due to her Parkinson's. She then went on to found a company called the Cake Bake Company, which went from a market stall and then grew onto a large manufacturing business, which had a turnover of around £5 million a year and making about 10,000 cakes a day. This company also famously created the cake for the Skoda car advert. We've got quite a lot of things to talk about today, so thanks for joining me. You can tell us a bit about your background, so life growing up, where were you born?
Oh gosh, I don't normally talk much about that. It was a really unhappy childhood. Nobody cared that much about me. Mum was mad, seriously mad. Dad covered it up. It was pretty grim, but counselling taught me to divide myself from that little girl. So it is something you carry into adult life, but you limit its impact. I did my GCSEs. See, what were they called? O-levels. O-levels, that's what they were called. And that was a miracle because I'd been bunking off all over the place. So how I managed to get those, I don't know. And then Dad got a letter from the school saying, probably best I didn't go back to do my A-levels since they hadn't seen much of me. And Dad said, what the hell? Yes, they forgot what I know. I love that joke. So I managed to get in somewhere, did my A-levels. Then I was sort of hanging around and Dad said, you can either go to work or you can go to college, but there's no sitting on the sofa allowed around here. So I found a college, wandered in, said, what do you do here? They said, we teach teachers. So I said, okay, I'll do that then. Simple as that in those days.
That's interesting. So you bunked from school but then became a teacher.
I know. And the last day I walked out of school, I actually remember saying, it's the last time I ever walk into one of them.
Well, that was a lie at the century, wasn't it?
I know.
Thinking about now and the things you're involved with now in terms of the community kitchen, is there anyone currently or previously that inspires you?
For most women it's the same, isn't it? It's your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. My dad followed his own path through life. He also was an extremely challenging father. So when I was getting divorced, he sent me newspaper articles about the damage I would be doing to my children. And that was his way of being supportive, of making me think it through. Yes? So he always challenged. So you learn to be rigorous and to just make sure you're really understanding all the implications of what you're doing. He was an independent businessman, and it was a few years ago I inherited all his business accounts from the late 1940s right the way through to when he died. I never knew he shimmied through sometimes by the skin of his teeth. Looking at those, the respect was just enormous because to run a business where you can take a living out of it is an extremely difficult thing to do. So it's Dad all the way, I'm afraid.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, it sounds like he had a massive effect on your life.
Yes, he did.
Inspired you and drove you to make the right sort of decisions that helped shape your life. So you sound like a really busy person, especially with all the things you're involved in and obviously managing the Parkinson's, but how do you stay motivated?
People say that about me, that I'm busy. It doesn't feel like that from the inside.
Your norm is busy. Maybe. No,
my norm is to get to be able to sleep that night, okay? Yeah. So I need to have used up the physical energy, the emotional energy, the social energy, the practical. I need to have led a full day. I need to have used myself up a bit.
Do the best you can do.
Yes.
Not have any regrets.
No.
You're one of those people who will toss and turn and just think about, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Yeah. But then that's motivation, I suppose. You want to do the best you can whilst you're still awake and able to do so. See,
people say, how do you stay motivated? How do you not?
Yeah.
The ideas just won't stop.
But yeah, your ideas are not just ideas, you're doing something with the ideas.
Finally,
yeah.
Towards the very end of my life, I have learnt to say no, not that idea, no,
really sifting through the ideas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do not get distracted.
Because not all ideas are good. I know this. I've had lots of ideas that think, oh, they're fantastic. And then you run it by someone, but you just saying the words out your mouth, then you hearing them yourself, you think, actually, no, this won't work at all. The fact that you're able to have a positive impact on lots of people's lives each day keeps you motivated and keeps you going and waking up tomorrow, let's do it again. Because it's exhausting, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah.
All my life, I've looked at people and thought, how do you do that? How do you take one idea and grow it? Yes? Because I've been doing this one, that one. And now I see how you do it. I don't know when I learned, but it just came. It's about the delivery. Yes?
The impact.
If I think about what I'm doing, I die with embarrassment and I just curl up inside.
Okay.
Best not to. Best to just try and not do the things that put people off.
Yeah.
But we all know we do things that put people off. And just to be yourself. And also to enjoy it. To really, really enjoy it.
It's great advice, I think.
Well,
yeah.
Saturday morning, I opened the door. There were 2 people there with the excess veg from their allotment.
Wow.
If I wasn't doing this, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have met them. It's great. I knew I'd got Parkinson's. Yeah. I just didn't want the diagnosis. So eventually, you end up at the consultants. And you get the diagnosis, and a girlfriend who I was going shopping with, robust humour, my girlfriends have, said, "Park in a disabled babe, practice being disabled." So thank you. I didn't tell my children for 6 months because I knew it would alter the relationship. And it did for a bit, and then they forgot all about it, and we carried on as normal. So that was a fuss about nothing. It comes and goes, it's unmanageable, it's up to me, isn't it? I can either be a victim of Parkinson's or I
face it and challenge it and give your best each day.
And exactly. I do the same that everybody does. I get up in the morning and do my best. End of story. Yeah. I rattle with pills that poor old NHS must cost them a fortune.
It sounds like you're worth it.
Well, I've got a really good consultant who listens. They're going to do the brain operation in a few years. And they think they can get me through, more or less. So there you go, that's it.
Can you talk us through the founding of the Cake Bake company? So this started as a market stall.
Yeah.
You had queues that were extending every day.
It just got silly. It was my grandmother's old recipe. So it was a really good quality English sponge cake. My daughter said one day, "Oh, this is getting ridiculous. There isn't anywhere to sit in this house. There's cake on everything." So it took over my life, and I thought, well, maybe this is more than a market stall operation. So I looked into setting up a small unit. And from then on, my learning curve was absolutely vertical.
So did you have any business training before this?
No, none at all. I
just
knew
learned
nothing.
on the job.
I knew. Well, I suppose I'd got a lifetime of living with my dad, who articulated everything.
Yeah.
So I knew quite a lot, I found, about running a business. Well, I knew the difference in profit and turnover. A lot of people don't.
That's the bottom line.
That is the bottom line. I was making money selling them on the market stalls, but there was just that morning, that November, dark, wet morning, when I shout out, "If I start the cake company, will any of you lot come and work in it?" And they all these voices shouted back as we're putting up these market stalls, which is damned hard work on a cold November morning. I'd much rather be in a warm cake company than here. And blow me, when I'd started it a year later, those people rang their mates who were still out on the market stalls saying, "We're in a warm cake company, where are you?"
That's brilliant.
I mean, you know, it was...
So it wasn't even just talk, it was I'm going to do
They
this.
actually... So you start a company with a few people who run their own market stalls working for you, and you've got a team of proper workers, yes, who are doers, deliverers, who don't make any fuss, they just go on and do it. And we just literally started making really good cake, very simply. The first pallet of cherry Madeira I sent out, the wholesaler who bought it from me rang and said, "Listen, I am going to pay you, but the bottom layer of that pallet was cherry Madeira pancakes." I didn't think about the weight of the cakes on the bottom layer.
Yeah.
And you have to put layers of cardboard in between. I didn't know. But
learning curve.
Yes,
Yeah.
but people, because it's the good quality product that people liked at a reasonable price, people stuck with us and helped us.
So this grew and grew. You've got a company now that's has a £5 million turnover per year.
Yeah.
How many employees at this point?
24.
24. So that's a lot of pressure. You've got this business under your name. You've got these people who rely on you to pay their bills, that sort of thing. You've got all these suppliers. You've got all these wholesalers buying from you.
Yes. And the big supermarkets.
Talk us through an average day when you're running this business. What was the day like? You get up.
I wake up 4 o'clock in the morning and think, jump out of bed, pull clothes on, jump in car, go into factory, because the night shift would get no management time. They would simply do their own thing. And I'd jump on the line and I'd get a nail brush and I'd put it on the line when no one was looking. And it went down the line, through the cutting machine. It used to slip through the cutting machine, down through the labelling machine, into the bag, into the box, onto the pallet rack. And then I'd shout, "Stop the line!" And everybody would turn to me and say, "Oh no, not again." They were all packing cake in their sleep. They were standing up, eyes open, and so I said, "Let's have that box down." And there would be the little nail brush sitting there pretending to be a cake.
It's your version of quality control.
And not one of them had spotted it going through. So then we'd all have coffee and just stop for a bit. But it was like a mechanical toy. If you went up to the office and looked down, the factory just went round and round. It was so simple. When people came in to see it, they said, "But you can't do it that way." Yes, you can.
It sounds like a lot of people have challenged you with this, "You can't do it that way." And you just said, "Watch me."
Yeah. Well, I just think, oh well, I have.
Right, so talk us through the Skoda Cake. How did that happen?
amazing. It was a cold call. Thursday morning, I got a call in the office. I just moved into a new factory. I had excess capacity. And this guy just said, "Hello, gorgeous." So I said, "Yeah, right. Should we start this conversation again?" And he says, "Gorgeous film production here." "Fine. Will you sell me 400 huge cakes?" "Yes." And he said, "Right." I said, "Yes." He said, "Everybody else has said no. Jamie Oliver said no. They've been ringing around for weeks. Everybody said no." But the guy acted like a lunatic. So I said, "What are you going to do with the cakes?" And he says, "Build a car." I mean, you think, yeah, right.
Yeah, this is he's having me on it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I added a couple of noughts to his bill, and he said he'd pay it. So I thought, right, we're on. Next thing, 2 taxis arrived. They built the tins themselves. They're enormous, they're heavy. My trolleys are begging for mercy. But we couldn't get the cake. They wanted the cakes very quickly because they'd got the film studio booked. But I couldn't make the cakes with flat tops. The cakes just kept on rising because they were so big. So I sold them the cake and I sent up 2 electric carving knives. And if you look in the advert, which is still on YouTube, you can see where they've cut the tops off the cakes.
Amazing. I mean, what an amazing opportunity that must have been.
You know, it was a young marketing team who were given the brief they were given was fantastic. They were told they wanted an advert which would tell the Skoda jokes we used to tell with affection. That was the brief. So what do you call a soft top Skoda? A skip. Yes? Yeah. That's affectionate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes? Yeah. So that was the brief, to turn the jokes around. So it told me, now with a brief as intelligent and as exciting as that, it went right from square one. The person who came up with that brief built that success into the advert. They were told no computer-generated images. It had to be real. So they came into the factory. All the kit is from my suppliers. They rang around my suppliers. And we just shared the interest and the publicity with everybody, with our bank, with our landlord, just with everybody. But it's lovely, it still makes people smile.
And what legacy from your business?
Absolutely, because we were the people who said yes.
Yeah, and all you have to say is Skoda Cake.
I know, everybody knows it. It's lovely,
I mean, that's a nationwide, national advert. And I will never forget it when I first saw it.
No, it's lovely to have been associated with something that's that happy.
Yeah.
I first saw it on a Greek island because it takes months to edit the footage. So I'm on holiday, I get a link sent to me. In those days, they had one television, one computer in the lobby in a Greek hotel. So I'm watching it and I realise it is absolute gold. And suddenly, when it ends, there's this round of cheering. And I turn round, and there's this huge semicircle of people who wandered in, and it just had a magnetic quality.
So talk us through the decision you made to wind down the company.
It wasn't a decision I made. I was forced into it. Bit of research came out that said because of the recession, mummies weren't going to be buying treats for adults, which were what my cakes were. Big slab cakes, quality sponge, date and walnut, all the old-fashioned lemon Madeiras, not cakes that interest children at all. Cakes you have with a cup of tea. So the orders just stopped because all the supermarkets take the same research. No contracts, you don't have them in the food industry. So my market died overnight.
Just like that?
Yes, it was. And so I rang the bank and said, can I have a few months with no repayment on my loan? I was living on baked beans and toast, but we were paying the loan back. It would have been okay. We would have got through. We would have had a good company. And they simply said, no, you've got to keep paying the loan. Well, I couldn't. So that day it went into liquidation, the company, very quickly. It takes a while for it actually to happen. The decision was taken. And I lost everything. I could have become a bankrupt and avoided my responsibilities, but I didn't. I sorted it all out. In fact, I'm still paying some of it back now.
Wow. It sounds like that experience had a massive effect on you and taught you so much more than any other business school could have taught any pupil. It's almost as if you're in the eye of the storm and everything's just going around you. How sort of for your emotions at that point, what sort of pressure you felt under?
I couldn't acknowledge the pressure. I simply put myself on a track and moved forward and blinkered myself. It was physically absolutely exhausting. It wasn't till later when I looked back, and even now you get a huge lump in your throat. You were controlled by other people. When the receivers come in, it is horrible. But there was a man called Bruce Bell who came in to see if we couldn't turn the company around, but the banks wouldn't let me. He is still my mate. He is still supportive. You know, there is always something that comes out of it. He and I walked around the factory one late, dark winter's evening, and he just kept going, wow, you made this, you did this. And so it was there, it was achieved, and then it went. It's just sort of unbelievable that it happened, because it was all done to you. There was nothing you
just lost control. There's no control. Nothing you could have done to stop it.
No, absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Once the economy, it was like having carpet pulled out from under your feet. You just tumble over you, and all the dodgy dealers come in and offer you, and you just stick with your coming or going.
It's like vultures on a carpet.
Yes, it is, just like that.
My family went through a bankruptcy. We were made homeless. We lost everything. Yeah.
Oh right, so you know exactly.
I was very young at the time, but I remember everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is shocking to the core. You're either responsible or not. It's not a question of choice, really. You just do it. So I spent a couple of years sofa surfing. My children loved having me living with them. They were pleased when I left. And then I found this tiny place.
But you come out of it as a really resilient person.
Yes.
Driven.
Yes.
Focused.
Yes.
Let's just go at it again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a good mentality, because like you said, it could have turned the other way.
Yes.
And there's numerous examples where that's happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
An awful lot of shrugging of shoulders goes on.
Yeah.
Okay, you think like that.
It's just money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I was determined to not pay somebody else's mortgage, to pay my own. And I set up a little cake company, a little cereal bar company in this part downstairs, and lived upstairs, which was fine until the cereal bar company did very well and took over the house, and there were just cereal bars everywhere. So then I sold that company. I was supposed to retire, and then I was on the bus. I think it was just meant to be. I was sitting there, coming home, minding my own business, when suddenly this lovely mum starts to tell her two young children what they're having for tea. Hot dogs, alphabet, potatoes and Scotch pancakes. And it was such a real experience. It was almost like I was sitting with them eating it, so I leapt off the bus, went back and bought the meal. She had done so well. 50 pence a head. I don't think I've ever fed my family for 50 pence a head. She done well, but you can't feed children food like that and expect them to be able to grab the opportunities life offers them, to be happy, to be well, to be healthy. So I knew I had an idea for giving her another choice. And that's what this is all about, is making sure that mums, parents, have really good choices about how they feed their children. We've got to look after our children better. Simple as that.
I couldn't agree more. Because the food that you and the team are preparing is homemade, it's fresh, it's quality, it's in season, locally sourced where possible, and it's cheap.
Yeah.
And nutritionally rich.
Yes. Why not?
Yeah, it makes sense. So to date, what's your greatest achievement?
Oh, bother. I knew you were going to ask this, and I thought of an answer and I can't remember what it was now.
I mean, it sounds like you had quite a few. I could probably list a few for you, but just from what you've told me so far.
What's my greatest achievement? My greatest achievement was to come back and keep living life after the recession and losing the company.
Because that must have hit you hard.
People committed suicide at that point, and I maybe thought about it. It was such an enormously public and complete loss. It was definitely a choice to go on or not. So just hang on to life at that point was the humiliation was unbelievable, and it really didn't help to know it wasn't entirely your fault.
Yeah.
Good.
That's all my questions.
Thank you.
So thanks for joining us. I hope this amazing story has inspired you. Do follow Our Kitchen on Facebook. I'll put the link up, and keep abreast of all the other work the team are doing. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and you've got some more content coming on soon. Thank you.
I think this is quite rich. I don't think you could eat a lot of it. Could you?
I love ice cream. Quite possibly. It's really nice, actually.
It's a bit more rich, isn't it?